Stop for a moment and think about this. How much of your current life is actually your own design, and how much is a performance designed to manage the opinions of others? Have you ever held back from starting that business, applying for that job, or even just expressing an unpopular political opinion because the fear of criticism felt too heavy? That exhausting, unending effort to manage everyone else's judgments is an invisible prison. You become a prisoner who voluntarily locks themselves in, holding the key to your own cell. The truth is simple, yet revolutionary. The opinions of others only have power over you because you choose to grant them the authority. Imagine stepping out of that prison. Imagine walking through your day with an unshakable inner confidence, where criticism is just background noise that can't disturb your peace. This isn't about becoming cold, arrogant, or socially irresponsible. It's about becoming free. It's about anchoring your identity so deeply in your values that external noise simply can't move you. In this deep dive, we're exploring 10 transformative Stoic lessons that teach you the secret to building an internal foundation so strong that external opinions become irrelevant to your self-worth and decision-making. If you're ready to stop living for validation and start living for authenticity, your journey to true, lasting freedom begins now. Lesson 1. Understand that opinions are reflections, not realities. The first pillar of this freedom is recognizing the difference between a fact and a reflection. When someone criticizes you, their words are not objective facts about you, but highly filtered reflections of them, their worldview, their fears, their unfulfilled dreams, and their limitations. They are looking at the world through a mirror, and you are just standing in front of it. Stoic insight, the lens of projection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." A person who is deeply insecure about their own competence will often criticize the efforts of others. A person who never had the courage to try something new will always find 100 reasons why you shouldn't try it. This is called projection. Their judgment is a window into their internal landscape. Once you identify the source of the criticism as their internal discomfort, it loses its sting because it stops being about you. You wouldn't be offended by a reflection in a funhouse mirror, and you shouldn't be offended by an opinion warped by another person's ego. Practical exercise. Whenever an opinion or piece of criticism bothers you, categorize it. Ask, is this objective, constructive feedback that helps me grow, or is it a personal, subjective judgment? Extract the small grain of helpful truth if it exists, and discard the 99% of it that is just projection or misunderstanding. You don't have to defend yourself against every opinion. You simply observe the projection and let it pass. Lesson 2. Stop seeking validation from people who don't know your journey. Why do we relentlessly seek approval from people who are not invested in our goals and who aren't walking our path? Most people who offer unsolicited opinions about your life have no real understanding of your goals, your struggles, your values, or your long-term vision. They are commenting on a story they haven't read. We would never take investment advice from someone who is broke, or seek medical advice from someone who hasn't studied medicine. Yet we constantly seek emotional validation from people who have zero expertise in the life we're trying to build. When your colleague says your side hustle is a waste of time, they are speaking from their comfort zone, not your potential. Filter. Your input, the criteria of the wise advisor. Before letting any opinion affect your direction, you must implement a rigorous filter. Ask 3 essential questions about the source. Do they have relevant expertise? If they haven't done what you're attempting, or if they haven't achieved a level of success you admire, their opinion is speculation, not guidance. Are they living a life I respect? If their life doesn't reflect the values you respect, calmness, integrity, courage, etc., Why would you adopt their advice and risk inheriting their outcomes? Are their intentions pure? Some critics speak from genuine concern, others from envy, fear, or resentment. Learn to discern the difference. Filter out the noise of the latter group completely. Stoic insight. Focus on prohairesis. The Stoics called your inner moral compass and faculty of choice prohairesis. It is the only thing truly up to you. When you rely on external opinions for validation, you outsource the care of your prohairesis to fickle, unreliable people. Reclaim that authority. Stop explaining and defending yourself to those who don't need to understand. The only people who matter are the ones walking beside you. Lesson 3. Let go of the impossible task of pleasing everyone. Trying to shape your life to satisfy everyone is not only impossible, it is destructive. Every decision you make to satisfy one person will inevitably disappoint another. It's like trying to cook one meal that satisfies every palate on earth. Spicy, sweet, bland, savory. It simply can't be done. The philosopher Aristotle famously noted, "There is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing. Say nothing and be nothing." The moment you choose to be someone, to do something meaningful, criticism is a guaranteed side effect. The variable is whether you let it halt your progress or confirm your significance. The opportunity cost of people-pleasing. Every minute you spend agonizing over a decision to make a parent, a partner, or a friend happy at the expense of your own deep needs is a minute taken away from building the life you desire. People-pleasing is a performance. It consumes massive emotional and mental energy. By letting go of the impossible task of achieving universal approval, you free up the necessary energy to dedicate to your purpose. Reclaim your authenticity. Identify your non-audience. Consciously decide who you are not performing for. This could be your childhood bullies, judgmental relatives, or strangers on the internet. Knowing your non-audience gives you permission to make the bold, authentic choice. Accept disapproval as inevitable. Make peace with the fact that someone, somewhere, will always disagree with your fundamental choices. Their temporary disapproval does not change your permanent worth. In 10 years, you will regret the dreams you didn't pursue far more than the people you disappointed by following your own path. Lesson 4. Stop letting others' insecurities become your limitations. Many people will try to limit you, not because you're actually limited, but because they are. When someone tells you that your dream is too big, your goal is unrealistic, or your approach is naive, they are revealing their own ceiling, not yours. They are speaking from their comfort zone and their past failures. Their fears and their risk tolerance become your boundaries only if you accept them. If you let them dictate your ambitions, you will live a life that is fundamentally smaller than you are capable of, making choices based on their level of comfort, not your true potential. Stoic insight. The dichotomy of control. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus laid out the fundamental principle of the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, our opinions, judgments, choices, desires, and some things are not up to us. Other people's opinions, external events, our bodies, reputation. Other people's judgment and fear always fall into the category of not up to us. Their worry is their problem. When you internalize their fear, you are giving them control over your destiny, a control they don't even have over their own lives. Reframe their words for empowerment. When someone says, "That's too risky for you," retranslate it to, "That's too risky for me." When someone says, "You'll never make enough money doing that," retranslate it to, "I was afraid to try that. And I don't want you to succeed where I failed." Your potential is yours to discover, not theirs to define. The only way to find your true limits is to push against them yourself, regardless of the noise from those standing safely on the sidelines. Lesson 5. Protect your peace by creating emotional distance. The key to not caring is creating strategic space, a kind of emotional buffer between the external opinion and your internal emotional core. This is emotional distance, the ability to observe a stimulus without immediately absorbing it, and to listen to criticism without internalizing it as truth. Think of criticism as a ball thrown at you. You can catch it, hold on to it, and let it bruise you, or you can simply step aside and watch it pass by. Stoic insight. The space of freedom. Victor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and a student of human resilience, encapsulated this principle. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space is your emotional distance, and that is where your power lives. It is the moment you choose not to be a puppet of external opinion. Building the inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius championed the idea of the inner citadel, a psychological fortress within your mind that is impenetrable to external misfortune or malice. Practice the pause. Whenever a comment or judgment would normally trigger an immediate emotional reaction, anger, defensiveness, shame, practice the intentional pause. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Use those breaths to create space between the word and your reaction. Gatekeep your mind. You have complete control over how much real estate their words occupy in your mind. If the opinion is useless, insulting, or repetitive, you must treat your mind as a valuable piece of property and refuse to rent space to negative chatter. You are the gatekeeper of your inner world. Lesson 6. Set firm boundaries around your attention. Opinions are infinite, especially in the age of digital criticism, but your attention is finite. Your most valuable resource is your focus, and Stoicism teaches that control over your attention is paramount to leading a good life. The lesson: starve the troll, fuel the progress. When criticism is non-constructive, repetitive, or based on a malicious misunderstanding, it is not your job to engage, correct, or justify. Your attention should be reserved for actionable tasks, not endless arguments with people you will never satisfy. Every minute you spend replying to a baseless comment is a minute stolen from your work, your family, or your self-improvement. Stoic insight. Action over reaction. Epictetus said, "When you have decided that a thing is to be done and are doing it, never shun being seen to do it, even if the multitude thus form a different idea about it." Once you've made a principled decision and are acting on it, the world's reaction is not your concern. Your focus should be on the execution of your plan, not the management of public perception. You are a builder, not a PR agent. Practical exercise. Attention audit. Identify your common attention traps, the people or platforms that draw you into unnecessary debate or self-doubt. Mute, block, or limit your exposure to these sources. Starve the noise. Dedicate the freed-up energy to measurable, controllable progress on your goals. Lesson 7. Respond to judgment with silence and self-assurance. The instinct to explain, defend, or justify your choices is what gives the critic ultimate power over you. The need to prove yourself to them confirms that you believe they hold the right to judge your life. Silence in the face of judgment is a sign of immense inner strength and self-possession. The power of non-engagement. When people judge a choice you know is right for you, you don't owe them a reaction or an explanation. Your life is not a court case, and they are not the judge. By staying silent, by offering a brief, non-committal acknowledgement, or by simply shifting the conversation, you refuse to validate their right to comment on your sovereign decisions. You shut down the drama loop instantly. Stoic insight. The witty retort of Epictetus. Epictetus taught us a deep form of self-assurance. If someone speaks ill of you, Do not make excuses, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these." This is not a verbal retort. It is an internal shift. It shows that you are so comfortable with your own flaws and humanity that their limited criticism is merely amusing. You don't need to correct their small picture of you because you already hold the complete, complex picture of yourself. Lesson 8. Practice gratitude for your unique path. Amor fati. Caring what people say often stems from comparison, feeling like you should be further along, richer, thinner, or different, based on someone else's timeline or criteria. The antidote to comparison is gratitude for your current reality. The lesson, love your fate. The Stoics called this practice amor fati, or the love of fate. It is the active, grateful acceptance of everything that has happened and is happening to you, including the challenges and detours. Be grateful for your unique journey because it is yours. Your life is shaped by your circumstances, your values, and your resources in a way that no one else can fully understand. When you practice gratitude for that uniqueness, external comparisons and validation become instantly irrelevant. Stoic insight. Inner contentment as a fortress. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be content with what you are and wish for nothing more. If you only knew how many wish to be what you are and cannot." Your contentment is your own fortress, and it cannot be stormed by the opinions of others. When you fully embrace the messy, beautiful reality of your own life, you stop looking over your shoulder for approval. The moment you declare, "My path is sufficient," you become invincible to the judgment of others. Lesson 9. Reframe criticism as information, not identity. When criticism stings, it's because you've committed a common cognitive error. You've taken a comment about a temporary action and internalized it as a permanent verdict on your identity. The lesson, depersonalization. If someone says, "Your presentation was messy," the painful thought process is, "I am a messy, incompetent person." The Stoic process of depersonalization is, "The presentation was messy. That is a piece of information about a temporary output. I can correct the output without changing my fundamental self." This separation is critical. Criticism about your performance, your choice of clothing, or your career is merely data for improvement. It's a temporary state that can be changed. It is not an eternal truth about who you are. Stoic insight. The separation of self and deed. Epictetus advised, "Do not say that you have been harmed, and you will not feel that you have been."